Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out the iconic music scene of July 1965 is impossible to find today. That was dramatic. I'm going to do it again. Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out the iconic music scene of July 1965 is impossible to find today. How's that? That was better.
The iconic music scene of July 1965
is impossible. John Mayall plays John Mayall. What?
July 1965 was an incredible time for music. Vibrant music and fashion epitomize feelings of optimism and creative experimentation. While the music of '67 is often romanticized in the media, one could argue that it all really began to emerge in the summer of '65 with breakthroughs such as Like a Rolling Stone, Satisfaction, and Tambourine Man, which began to question the status quo. Let's break down the music scene of July 1965 and look at some of the driving forces behind the soundscape that shaped the summer.
All right.
And how the music scene was affecting the culture and how life compared to today.
Y'all, I just learned that Mick Jagger dresses to the left. I reacted to a video not long ago about the music scene in March 1965. And it's pretty fascinating. A lot happened in that month. And in the course of that video, see, to the left. In the course of that video, I looked up what was going on. And in America, it was all civil rights stuff. July 1st, 1965, Australia began training its first draftees for the Vietnam War. Well, that's a big deal. The People's Republic of China established its strategic missile force. That's a big deal. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission was formed in the U.S. Civil rights. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered a memorable sermon entitled The American Dream at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. I've been there. Following up his famous I Have a Dream speech in the March on Washington in 1963, King said, "So yes, the dream has been shattered, and I've had my nightmarish experiences, but I tell you this morning once more that I haven't lost the faith. I still have a dream." Wow.
In the summer of '65, you might be enjoying an episode of Peyton Place on your black and white television. You head out on a date to see the latest comedy, What's New Pussycat, with Peter Sellers.
Hang on. What was that called? Peyton Place. That's Mia Farrow, right? I don't see Mia Farrow in the credits, but that is definitely Mia Farrow, isn't it?
On a date to see the latest comedy, What's New Pussycat, with Peter Sellers.
I haven't seen that.
Sometimes you go see a movie at the drive-in, which was immensely popular.
I've done that.
There were over 4,000 drive-ins throughout the U.S. during their peak. Drive-ins served as an affordable family-friendly or date night option costing around $1 to $2 per car.
Wow.
Today there are about 300 drive-ins left. You hit the open road for a summer road trip to go sightseeing with the affordability of cars and fuel making it easier than ever. In 1965, a new Chevrolet Malibu cost a little over $2,000 or about 7% of the median household income. Vehicle registrations tripled since 1945 and created a cultural shift from being stuck in one location. And as you cruise the open road, what could you tune into on the radio? Colors by Donovan is moving up the charts, as is We Gotta Get Out of This Place by the Animals.
That's the time. That's the time. I love the best.
Oh, I've heard a cover of that song. I didn't know that was him.
That's the time. I love the best.
Wow.
Help Me Rhonda by the Beach Boys is still getting a lot of radio play.
Wow. Hang on. Like what? When did Pet Sounds come out? Pet Sounds must have come out in '66, right? Or maybe later in '65. May 16th, '66. Okay. Next year.
All great summer songs. You turn on your transistor radio while visiting popular destinations such as beaches in Florida, the Catskills Mountains, Or with a growing interest in the developing American space program, the Kennedy Space Center in Florida also became very popular in the 1960s. The Space Center allowed drive-through tours on Sunday afternoons with 100,000 visitors during the first year. In 1965, the tours were expanded and included other parts of the Space Center. Popular songs playing on your transistor radio in July 1965 are Heart Full of Soul by the Yardbirds,
Jeff Beck.
Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere by The Who, and Wooly Bully by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs.
Oh yeah.
At your
He's
local
wearing a
record
turban.
store, you can head into the listening booth and check out the latest singles, including You've Got Your Troubles by The Fortunes, Cry to Me by The Pretty Things, and This Strange Effect by Dave Barry. The song written by Ray Davies will be released again by the Kinks in September.
You've got your troubles, I've got mine.
Never heard that.
Try to leave
I don't know who these people are.
strange effect on me, and I like it.
Wow.
On the eve
It sounds so 50s to me. I realized this in that March 1965 video that my concept of the music of the 60s was really 66 through 69. Oh, and this is from when Bob Dylan went electric, y'all. Big controversy.
On the evening of July 25, 1965, Bob Dylan took the stage at the Newport Folk Festival in black jeans, black boots, and a black leather jacket, carrying a Fender Stratocaster in place of his familiar acoustic guitar. The crowd shifted restlessly as he tested his tuning and was joined by his new group of backing musicians. Straining to be heard over the loudest music ever to hit Newport, he snarled his opening line.
I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more.
Then, with legendary Mike Bloomfield on guitar,
Oh my
Dylan
God, he's
roared
amazing.
into Like a Rolling Stone, challenging the folk establishment with one question: how does it feel? The crowd reaction was mixed with some cheering and dancing, some booing and some crying. He left the stage but was begged back and ended the night with It's All Over Baby Blue, his farewell to the leftist folk establishment, and into a new frontier as a bona fide rock star with a new hipster look that would come to define him. He would continue from this moment on as a cult figure of the 1960s.
Once upon a time, you dressed so fine, through the bumps of dime in your prime.
Didn't you?
Rising up
Wow. It's the end of the folk movement, basically, right? It's interesting because I think the Beatles came out with Rubber Soul later this year. So it was like Dylan went electric and the Beatles went more acoustic folk, switching it up. Bob Dylan upset many of his fans at the Newport Folk Festival purists by going electric in a live performance, but opened the era of folk rock with the themes of folk music accompanied by electric guitar. An author who was present at the festival would later write that it was a myth that Dylan had been booed as he played. After his 3-song set, 3 songs? Dylan returned to the stage later and in the show and played It's All Over Now, Baby Blue on an acoustic guitar. So it's a myth that people booed him, but I bet some people did boo him. Martin Luther King addressed a crowd of over 8,000 in Winnetka, Illinois, after several other speeches in Chicago that day, addressing the issue of discrimination in housing. He told the mostly white crowd that we must now come together as brothers or perish as fools. What were the Beatles doing in July of 1965? Oh, the world premiere of Help happened on July 29th, 1965, 4 days after Bob Dylan went electric. The Beatles' second film, Help, had its royal premiere at the London Pavilion, Piccadilly Circus, London. 10,000 fans gathered outside to see the group arrive in the black Rolls-Royce. Inside the pavilion, they met Princess Margaret and Lord Snowdon, who had delayed their summer holiday for the event. Top of the Pop showed a clip from the film that evening. I still consider Help to be an early Beatles album, you know? This was still early. They had just come to America like a year and a half before this. Time is crazy.
rising up the charts are Crying in the Chapel by Elvis, Leave a Little Love by Lulu, and Maggie's Farm by Bob Dylan. If you are heading outdoors to spend the day at the local river or lake, you might not think to bring sunscreen. And even if you do, the first
Yeah.
SPF products only contained around 2 to 4 SPF, and the additives were often thick and oily.
Wow. Like, what's the point of even putting it on? I've heard that advances in sunscreen technology are why people now look younger than they did back then. That's what I've heard.
You probably would be hearing a lot of the chart toppers in July '65, such as Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds, Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones, and I Can't Help Myself by the Four Tops.
Hey, y'all. Have you ever listened to Tambourine Man by the Byrds and then listened to Nowhere Man by the Beatles? It's like they're the same song. I don't know if John Lennon ripped it off intentionally, but he definitely did subconsciously, because they're very similar. John. I forgive him.
Fashion was important.
Oh,
Men were
that's
wearing anything from the Ivy League aesthetic to the surfer style to the mod style. In the summer,
Okay.
the surfer culture influenced by the Beach Boys significantly influenced men's fashion, especially in coastal regions like California. This style was relaxed and effortless, mirroring the laid-back coastal lifestyle. Contrasting the Ivy League aesthetic was the mod style from London's Carnaby Street.
You know what's crazy? I used to live on the East Coast, and like all my life. And when you go out, like even just to get drinks or something, or like you go out to a show or you go out to a restaurant, I would wear like a shirt with a collar, like a button-down shirt with a collar. Like that was the normal thing. But on the West Coast, that's a lot more rare. People still dress more casual. Like look at like this is like what I wear every day. Like if I do wear a shirt with a collar now, it's a flannel, like totally casual. It's amazing that that was back then too. It's all connected, y'all. It's all connected. Weird.
This style featured slim-fitting, Italian-cut suits with narrow lapels, flat-front trousers, and Chelsea boots. Eventually,
Chelsea
bright,
boots.
bold colors and prints became key elements of the mod style. Carnaby Street was a significant influence, with boutiques like John Stevens, His Clothes, and Lord John's popularizing this avant-garde look, made popular by British invasion acts, such as the Beatles, The Who, and the Small Faces.
It's weird to think of The Who as being a contemporary of the Beatles, but they totally were. I just think of them as being after the Beatles. Y'all, I reacted to a video about mods and rockers, and it's fascinating. The rockers came first, leather jackets, riding motorcycles. And then the mods came around, wearing suits and ties, driving scooters. And they would have riots. They would have big fights against each other. I didn't know about that. That's crazy. Anyway, it's a fascinating bit of British history if you're not familiar. Check that video out.
Well, I think we had the balls to call ourselves mods.
Balls.
Even though, you know, me in particular, complete bloody wolf in sheep's clothing or sheep in wolf's clothing. I don't know which way you want to look at it, but I'd always been a teddy boy. And, you know, at heart I was a real rocker, but I liked all kinds of music, so to me it was just a uniform. But then it was pointed out to us that this was a bandwagon that was going to roll, and all the music that they liked was the music that we liked, but they didn't have anyone in this country doing it for them. So we became mods overnight. I mean, into the barber with long hair and out as a mod. That really was. It was hysterically funny. It was just amazing because the fashions would change so quickly.
Wily
It's amazing.
Casanova, his ploy is the oldest in the book, patriotism. His country needs him, and so does she. British to the marrow, and always ready to fight for the Union Jack.
On Ready, Steady, Go, catch performances by The Who, Manfred Mann, The Yardbirds, Dave Clark 5, The Animals, Dusty Springfield, The Kinks,
Dusty
Nina
Springfield.
Simone, The Moody
Nina
Blues,
Simone.
Mary Ann Faithfull, The Pretty Things, and Simon and Garfunkel. Meanwhile, over on Thank Your Lucky Stars, you can catch Billy Fury, The Ivy Leagues, The Dave Clark 5, The Animals, The Searchers, Helen Shapiro, The Seekers, Dusty Springfield, Vicky Carr,
Maybe
The
it's the
Honeycombs,
same artist.
The Yardbirds, Mary Ann Faithfull and the Rolling Stones.
The black screen.
After watching your favorite television show, you might sit down and write a letter to someone. Maybe
Dearest Sheila, just a few lines to let you hear from me. Well, things are going pretty well with me. How are things with you? Well, here it is Labor Day, and okay, that's excellent writing.
after watching your favorite television show, you might sit down and write a letter to someone. Maybe a love letter to your boyfriend or girlfriend while listening to I've Been Loving You Too Long by Otis Redding.
I love Otis Redding, y'all.
Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me by Mel Carter or Tracks of My Tears by The Miracles. And in July 1965, two of the most iconic songs in music history entered the charts. California Girls by the Beach Boys and Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan. It is indeed an iconic music scene with a vast option of music to choose from.
Help came out.
Some of the most legendary songs only staying on the charts for a week or two to be knocked off by yet another iconic song.
Hang on, let me see. The Righteous Brothers, California Girls, Candy, Darling, Take Me Back, Here I Am. Dionne Warwick? Wow, I didn't know she was doing it back then. Okay.
Charts for a week or two to be knocked off by yet another.
Like a Rolling Stone, Bob Dylan, Fly Me to the Moon, Tony Bennett, Around the Corner, Sugar Dumpling, Sam Cooke, You've Never Been in Love Like This, Buster Brown, If You Really Want Me to, I'll Go.
Fashion was heavily influenced by art, as we see here in the July edition of Vogue. From Gauguin's Flowers to op art on dresses to Surat's Sunday Afternoon within a makeup palette. Style was considered an art form, and as this Max Factor makeup ad states that women are a work of art, it creates the most beautiful self-portrait you ever owned. Women painted their faces like it was a blank canvas.
That's good marketing.
This is when the pastel eyeshadows and lip colors became popular. Colorful
Blue
and
legs.
patterned pantyhose, high fashion glasses, and jewelry were all becoming part of the creative scene. And as Roger Daltrey explains, fashion was influencing music. Music and fashion have been forever linked like strands of DNA since the 1960s. You could look at how someone was dressed and get an idea of the music they listened to.
Yeah.
How nice it would be for society to be more thoughtful about their attire, as in 1965. While people mostly cooked at home, dining out at restaurants was still considered something for a special occasion.
This kitchen looks exactly like the kitchen at Graceland, Elvis's house. It's brown like this with green appliances and not very large. Oh, I'm wrong. It's not green, but it's definitely brown. See? Well, I mean, it's kind of yellowish green, the fridge. Isn't that crazy? And there's carpet in the kitchen, y'all. Carpeted floors in the kitchen. Right next to the kitchen is the jungle room. It's kind of neat. With the green carpet. Yeah. Elvis made a record in the jungle room. And there's a wall unit air conditioning. Elvis didn't have central air. Isn't that crazy?
Dining out at restaurants was still considered something for a special occasion, and a foolish waste of money, especially by anyone who lived through the Great Depression. TV dinners became a popular way to give mothers a break from cooking, especially on a hot summer night.
Poison.
Today, the average person may eat out at a restaurant 3 times per month and up to 1 time per week for some. With takeout or...
Yo, I eat out like 4 or 5 times a week. I'm wasting so much money.
With takeout or delivery averaging 4 times per month. Howard Johnson's was a popular restaurant destination while on vacation or visiting relatives. The Cable Car Restaurant was a popular spot for visitors to San Francisco, and the Route 66 Steak and Shake was a Midwest destination.
Yo, I love Steak and Shake. I like to call it Shake Your Steak. You know.
Fast food restaurants were beginning to pop up, competing with mom and pop owned spots. In 1965, you might stop at Hardee's Kentucky Fried Chicken or Sonic, which was originally called Top Hat, where a car hop on roller skates would be taking your order.
Right.
Popular songs you might hear on the radio are Herman's Hermits, Henry VIII I Am, What's New Pussycat by Tom Jones, and Set Me Free by the Kinks.
Yeah, there's a great story that John Mulaney, he's a comedian, he tells a great story about when he was like 11 years old or something. He and his best friend went to a restaurant that had a jukebox, and they played What's New Pussycat like 40 times back to back. And he describes the reaction of the other patrons in the restaurant. It's a great story. Check it out if you can.
If you were one of the lucky who flew to your vacation destination, then you would have enjoyed seatside service that includes your choice of a multi-course meal and cocktails.
Look at those
Where the
glasses.
stewardesses had plenty of room to push their cart with flowers and champagne down the aisle.
Flowers.
You would have dressed in your Sunday best as you enjoyed the French fare, which was all the rage after Julia Child's mastering. The art of French cooking became a
Look at
sensation.
the aisle on that plane.
The airlines competed for business with exceptional food and service. Today, you're likely to choose between a small bag of crackers or cookies and a beverage on a domestic flight.
Y'all, I love those Biscoff cookies. That's why I fly Delta.
Occasionally, you may even get a sympathetic smile from the staff pushing the cart that barely fits down the aisle as you sit stuffed in the fetal position until your plane lands. However, the price of flying has technically gotten cheaper. A domestic flight ranging from $36 to $48 in 1965 being the equivalent of $405 to $540 today.
Okay,
In
it's
London,
about the
you
same.
can head over to the Marquee Club to catch live performances by the Moody Blues, Rod Stewart, and the Spencer Davis Group.
Wow.
At the Flamingo, catch John Mayall and the Blues Breakers. The Hollies are performing their latest hit,
Crazy.
I'm Alive, at the Manor House. Or head over to the latest London club to pop up, the Pontiac, where you can see live performances by The Who.
Wow.
The Rolling Stones announce a new autumn tour throughout England. The Record Mirror releases its Reader's Poll winners, which include Elvis as world's best male vocalist
He's still
and
holding
best
on.
disc of the year.
Wow, y'all. I thought Elvis had gone to the army and was no longer doing it by then, but he was. He was #1 in this magazine. World Male Vocalist Best Disc of the Year. Who else we got? Dwayne Eddy, Brenda Lee, The Rolling Stones, Tom Jones, Billy Fury, Tony Hall, Marianne Faithfull, Vashti, and Mick Jagger. Y'all, so many great artists. Like legendary artists. It's crazy.
While Marianne Faithfull also got third place for Best Female Vocalist. The Rolling Stones get second place for Best Disc of the Year. The readers write in and give their reaction to the results in the following edition, with one reader writing in this scathing rebuke. The person who gave females the right to vote ought to have been hung up with his toes. How ridiculous your poll results were just because of females voting for their pretty-faced singers. Chuck Berry and Ben E. King are in the bottom half of the male vocalist top 20.
Hey, just because somebody has a pretty face, those are votes.
Why? Because they aren't good-looking, ask any stupid girl. Whoever heard
Wow.
of Keith Richards, Brian Jones, or Elvis being better instrumentalists than with Bo Diddley or Stan Getz, to name but a few?
Yeah, whoever wrote this doesn't understand entertainment industry. Being a talented musician is just as viable as having a pretty face. It's not fair. That's just the way it is.
Please have next year's voting be all male, then we might get near some truth. Stephanie Riley, Nottingham. Stephanie, if you're still out there somewhere, do leave a comment below and let us know if you still feel the same, or if you've warmed up to the Rolling Stones and Elvis. The Record Mirror teases the upcoming Beatles album, Help, saying, this album could easily be titled The Many Moods of the Beatles. Showcased in 14 tracks are ballads, rock and roll, folk, country and western, and a helping of straight pop.
Y'all, Help is one of the best sounding Beatles albums. Sonically, it sounds really good. Really good. I'm sure you've heard it, but maybe it's time to revisit it. Revisit Help.
The Byrds announced their tour of England, which will take place in August. In the August video, we will take a look at reactions to the Beatles' new album and the Byrds' live performance at the Flamingo, where Paul McCartney made a surprise appearance. Are there any songs on the charts today that you think can stand the test of time, like the iconic music of July 1965? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and be sure to check out the iconic music from previous months of 1965 as we uncover the progression of music from the 60s to today.
Okay, y'all be sure to go to Freewheeling and like and subscribe. I just want to check out the Billboard Top 100 right now. Billboard Top 100. Current The Bar Song by Tipsy is number 1. I've never even heard of that. Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga. Never heard that. Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish. Espresso, Lose Control, I Had Some Help. Taste, Beautiful Things, Love Somebody. Sticky. I'm so out of touch with modern music. I'm surprised Taylor Swift is not on here. I think a Taylor Swift song or two would probably stand the test of time, like these 1965 songs. But crazy. So much change. In the music, too. I feel like music now is... I mean, not that I have much clout to talk about it, because I'm so out of touch with what's popular now, but it's kind of homogenous, you know? There's like a lack of melody. I can't say that for everything. It's just the popular... I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I just feel like 1965 was a very pivotal year that we've not seen since 60 years ago. 60 years ago. 80 years since World War II. Wow. Well, y'all, this is a fascinating video. Thank y'all for watching this with me. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me, and I'll see you next time. Listen to Help later.